Hey guys, my name is Logan Shinholster, and in this video, we're going to be talking about Contractor Growth Network, which doesn't sound exactly the same as Contractor Sales Academy, but the two companies work together on a lot of things. So don't mind the name, definitely watch the content because it's the exact same message. I hope you like it. Check it out. Hey everyone, on today's podcast episode, we're talking all about voicing your own opinions online. Should you do it as a business owner, or should you stray away and keep it all professional? Hey everyone, welcome back to Contractor Growth Network. I'm Logan.
Hey, I'm Alex.
And Alex, you asked the question before we got on the podcast, so go ahead, lead it off. What do you want to talk about today?
So today, a little backstory. Well, first of all, the main topic is going to be how should you, as a business owner, how should you, voice your political opinions or, things going on in the world. It's pretty divided right now. So if you're not, it seems like if you're not in the popular opinion, you're kind of being canceled, quote unquote, or, kind of pushed down this very tough, difficult road. So as a backstory, at the time of this recording, a family member, my stepmother's family, they own a pizza place here on Long Island, and they got a shout out from President Trump. Great place. Basically, the story is, I'll call him my step uncle or whatever. He posted, or he had a flag in the back of his business that was supporting Donald Trump, and the community, which he's very involved in his community, they love him. Some people in his community, some we'll call them quote unquote Karens, they decided we were going to tear him down and try to attack him because he supports Trump. There was nothing really, just a flag. That's really all it was. And it actually backfired on them because the community, he's so involved in this community. He has events for them. He donates to all these charitable events in the community. He's very well known in the St. James part of Long Island. So it basically backfired on them, and it kind of brought the question to my mind. And I asked Logan, as a business owner, how do you balance your own political views to maybe some that might not agree with the whole community or something that might impact your business in a negative light?
So let me ask you this before I jump into mine. How do you feel about it?
I think that it's very unfair that it seems like one side can say their opinion and they can, have it be praised and it could be supported, but the other side that maybe doesn't feel 100% with them, but has the right, 50% of the ideas. Yeah, I'm with you, but I think it should be handled a different way. Just because they support somebody and they get teared down and canceled and, get affected negatively, I think it's very unfair. I think everyone's opinion should be brought forward equally. If you agree with the cause or don't agree with the cause, or you have a different approach to a cause than somebody else. And I think it's causing a really big divide. And if I was a business owner, I'd be afraid to say how I really feel, because anything I say could be used against me, I guess, at this point in time.
So the way that I look at this is I'm all for voicing your opinion as a business owner, as a person, because at the end of the day, the business shouldn't run who Alex is as a person, right? This should not be you live and you survive, to serve your business. So I think if you feel passionate about something, whether it's a religion or it's politics or whatever, go ahead and say it. But on the flip side, for as much as you have that voice and you're allowed to say whatever you want, the other side is allowed to come back and say whatever the hell they want about you. So to me, it's no different than when Chick-fil-A came out and talked about, hey, we were founded on Christian values. We do not support gay marriage. It's a privately traded company. I think Chick-fil-A had every right to say that, and they can, more than welcome, go ahead and do that. But on the flip side, they're going to need to be prepared to deal with the backlash of that. So I think in the case of your uncle, if he feels that strongly about Trump, go for it. That's totally cool. But at the same time, I'm sure he knows that there are people out there that as soon as you fly anything that's Trump or anything that's polarizing, it's going to divide people, and you're going to have those that flock to it, and you're going to have those that want to tear you down because they don't like what you stand for. So I think if you want to do it, go for it. It's awesome. But just be aware that you're going to face this. And if you're not willing to face that, then don't put it out there.
Yeah. I think like the big trend on online on Twitter and Facebook is, you have these older people, most likely, normally they own a business, and they say something that is either, can come off maybe a little bit racist or different. It's like an old man take, I call it. It's where they grew up in a totally different generation than what's going on now, and they don't understand the times, and they say something that probably shouldn't be said online, and people go back in their entire history, Google search, social media, and where they work, where they were from, and just attack them. And basically, a lot of people get fired, they uproot their lives. And I don't necessarily agree with that, because it's just someone's opinion. Now, if you're attacking someone, you're giving them just the same ammo, like you said. They can have every right to bash you. But you would think, as a small business owner, you think you're only reaching your circle of people that you most likely think the same way as you. But really, on the online world, you're reaching everybody. Everybody can reach you. So you're going to reach a whole new audience that is going to find your business and probably have never going to buy your service in your area, and they're going to tear your business down. And it's something that we've never had this problem. I feel like cancel culture has been like, since 2016, I think it really popped off. But this is like 2020 is the most crazy time for cancel culture. And as a business owner, I'd be honestly scared to even voice my opinion, because I'm like, I don't want to lose any customer no matter what, because at the end of the day, if I'm just a remodeler, my political views have nothing to do with the way I can do my job. I wouldn't care as a customer what your political views are, but if you're going to pay me for my service. So it's just wild.
So just so everybody's listening, cancel culture is the idea that you're quote unquote canceling somebody, saying you messed up, we don't agree with you, so we're going to cancel you, meaning we're going to effectively make you go away. So there's people like, a prime example is Mel Gibson. 10 years ago, Mel Gibson got arrested for DUI, said a bunch of anti-Semitic things, and he effectively got quote unquote canceled because everybody came out and said, yeah, we're done with Mel Gibson. And I think he's had a couple directing gigs behind the scenes, but ever since that happened, I don't think I've seen him like star in a movie, and that dude was in everything. So as business owner, that is what you're up against, is getting canceled. For me, my whole thing is, and this is something I've been seeing a lot more of, is it's not necessarily, my values and your values are going to be different. Just like there's going to be stuff that we agree with, there's stuff that we don't agree with. But it's more so how we go about the conversation, because I see that is more so the issue with people saying stuff that I don't agree with. It's not that I don't agree with what they're saying, it's the fact that I feel like we're not able to have a good conversation, or at least an eye-opening conversation about it. So I don't look at somebody's views as like, unless they're like really like so against it that I'm like, I can't get over it, I'm sorry, like that makes no sense to me. But if you're not able to have a conversation, it's just when it becomes unbelievably defensive on one side or the other, that's when it becomes a problem. And I'm seeing this a lot with people and masks. My whole thing with wearing a mask right now is science has come out, from my perspective, science has come out and said you should wear a mask. I'm like, okay, science said it. If you want to call me a sheep, I'll be the sheep, but at least I'll feel good knowing, like the way that like the mask was like described to me is like, whether I wear it versus you wear it, is it's like peeing on somebody, right? If I pee on your leg, Alex, it's very easy. That's the same thing as wearing no masks. Now, if I pee on your leg, but you're wearing pants, then you're still going to get pretty wet. There's a small chance you might not get wet, but you're still going to get wet. But if we flip it, where I'm wearing the pants, when I pee on your leg, it's very unlikely that you're going to get wet at all, because the pants are stopping it. So like, that's the way that it was like described to me. That's not the official analogy that Dr. Fauci is using. But like, I was like, okay, that actually makes sense on why this is a thing. I get it now. So that was a big thing for me, but I'm seeing a lot of people that instead of, and these are people that have openly voiced wanting to grow, wanting to change their business, wanting to get bigger, they're spending all of their time and their energy and their effort and their decision-making skills and their everything going online, posting about how the government wants you to wear a mask, which is totally fine. If you want to spend your energy and everything on that, that's cool. But we've only got, let's say, 100 blocks of mental energy a day. And if you're spending 85 blocks posting and then arguing with people on Facebook back and forth, you've only got 15 blocks that you now have to dedicate towards family, running the business, and then on top of that, shit, talk about growing the business, because you wasted it with all this other stuff that in 6 months probably won't even matter.
Yeah.
So that's my whole thing with all this, is if you want to fly the Trump flag, if you want to put up the black square on social media, if you can be political, you can be polarizing, you can do you and your stuff, but you can't then turn around and complain about getting canceled. Unless, like, yes, you're right about like that. You said stuff 10 years ago. I mean, like, a lot of my views were different 5 years ago than they are now. So it's just like, I do understand that, where it's like, how much is too much? Because if this, I mean, there's so much stuff on everybody's history that they said like one thing one time ago that like maybe they said it, they shouldn't have said it, or gets taken out of context. Like, there's always going to be that. But I think if you're actively doing it now, you can do it, and that's fine. But just be self-aware that there is this other side of the aisle that may come at you. And to me, there's certain things that I'm willing to have people come back and leave us bad reviews. Because if they're like, oh, this Logan guy, like, F this because he feels so strongly because he said this, then I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that. Like, I can deal with that. But if it's something that's small, then I don't really feel that strongly about it. So it's really, I guess, at the end of it, there's certain things that I'm willing to fight for, and I'm willing to like be put on blast for from the other side, and there's certain things that I'm not. And typically, the things that I'm not, I don't bother putting out there online.
Yeah. So when you see like something online, and I think this happens to me sometimes, where I'll see something and I'm not really active on posting anything, because I try to like keep it professional online, because that's very important nowadays. But I'll have conversations with people to talk about it, like in my circle that I'm close with, just to have a conversation. I'm not really aggressive. But for you, as like, do you think about your business and how your business would be affected if you see something online and you're like, ooh, I want to reply to this guy, but I just can't, like, because it's gonna look bad for my business if I engage in it, even if it's just one thing, like a factual statement back. Because I feel like once you're tied into it, you're associated with it.
You're in.
Yeah.
I do, and it's no different than when I interact with you guys, because to me, I would say I'm naturally on the wittier side, but I'm very different with my humor around you guys, because from an HR perspective, what if I cross the line? What if I say something inappropriate and then it comes back because I go, all right, hey, Alex, like, it's been awesome, man, but like just recently you haven't been performing, and you're like, oh, is it because I'm not performing, or is it because this one joke you made? And I'm like, so there is a certain time and a place for certain things. I try to still be myself. I mean, I'm still myself online, but I try to be a better version of myself.
So you hold yourself to a higher standard online.
I hold myself to a higher standard. For lack of a better term, like online, I'll tell you, like, yeah, like I watch porn, but I wouldn't tell you what I search for. If that makes sense. Yeah. So that's like an analogy like I heard a while ago from somebody that like they're like talking about things that like, oh, you never say, you never do this, like, like everybody does it, but like nobody wants to talk about it. Like, I'm okay with being open, but then like there's certain levels of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. There's like I think the biggest thing is like text, and like always the problem with text messages is that like sarcasm, or the tone of how you say things gets lost, and that's what the online world is. Unless it's a video, but like very rarely are these arguments over videos. They're text. And like I'm like you, I like to be sarcastic. I like to keep it light. When they're talking about the mask, it's like, oh well, we could wear, if you plug up all your holes, of course nothing's gonna get in. That's kind of like witty or sarcastic. But if no, you didn't know me, as many people don't know who they're arguing with, that get taken the wrong way, and then boom, you're down this rabbit hole. So yeah, I just think I think it's easy for us as people in their mid to late 20s that we grew up kind of in this online thing, but I think a lot of people in the upper 40s, 50s, 60s range, it's tough for them to see something that triggers them and not just be a keyboard warrior, which is just go right after them online and just attack them. And yeah, I mean, I almost feel bad for my stepmom's cousin because it's like, I know he's a Trump supporter, but like, I don't think he wanted this kind of attention, and now it's on news channels, and he was on Fox News, and it was like big
Oh
thing. But
wow.
yeah, it was it's pretty it's pretty weird. But I mean, I don't know how this business is doing, but it's a good pizza place, so I don't think New York's gonna not disown a pizza place, but
Yeah, and I've seen that where like, well, first like there's a lady that she's a contractor. I saw she's in one of the groups, and she was posting about the Black Lives Matters movement and about how she thinks it's a terrorist organization, not terrorist, maybe like a hate organization, because it was like if you're for Black Lives Matter, that means you're against all the other ones, which is her opinion, her viewpoint. It is what it is. But when you're typing it out, what was happening was people were then screenshotting what she said previously, and any post she would put on the business, people would comment pictures of that. So I remember
hmm
when I went to college, one of the things my mom said to me, because this was right when the whole Phelps thing came out with him smoking weed, it was, Logan, don't do anything dumb. But if you're going to do something dumb, don't let people take pictures of you. And I was
yeah,
like, okay, that, like, to me, like, that makes sense, because it's like you give people less ammunition to go off of. So like, I think it's like why like a lot of like I'm guessing like lawyers probably do a lot of stuff via email, just so it's like all
hmm
kind of documented and this and that. So that would be my take on that stuff, is that if you want to do you and be you online, like that's cool, but like just really be smart about it. But I'm more so a proponent of like, if people took as much time and energy and put that towards their business, the thing that puts food on the table, the thing that they're so desperately trying to grow, as they do for all these other things, that you shouldn't sweep systemic racism under the rug and go, well, that's not really my problem, let me move on. But there's a lot of things that, to me, and this is just my opinion, don't progress your life
hmm
as much as putting that energy, which is energy, it's mental energy you got to put towards it. But if you just put that towards the stuff that improves you as a person, improves you as a business, you would be so further along in life that it's not even funny. So it frustrates me that people are so adamant about, I'm going to walk into this store with no mask on. If anybody tells me what to do, like, F them, that's on them. And it's like, okay, I wish you were this bold when you had to
hmm
call somebody up, a lead that you're scared to call in case they tell you no. Like that to me doesn't make sense, where you can be so bold and brazen and empowered in one facet of your life, but you're afraid on these other things that will actually help you. So I'm like, that's like the battle that I'm trying to fight right now with people, is it's like, hey, I get it. You can't breathe when you wear a mask, even though it's been scientifically proven the same airflow goes in and out. Maybe you have a special mask or a special set of lips that doesn't allow you to breathe. That's fine. But
yeah.
take half the post about the masks and talk about something in the business, something that you're helping out the community. That is my real thing, that I'm like, not on a mission, but I'm trying to like get out there more and more, is that
I,
it's just a waste of time of a lot of people.
that's a good way to look at it. I haven't looked at it like that because you're right. I mean, the sense of passion that Americans have right now about their side is amazing. I don't think I've seen that kind of
Unbelievable.
passion since the American Revolution. I mean, it's literally, and it's about it's like stupid shit like wearing a mask. Like, and it's crazy. You're right. If you put that into your business could grow 10 times better. It's almost like they need someone to tell them that. And yeah, you know, yeah, I think people, when it comes to their threatening and their freedom, I think they'll do anything. But it's weird how they won't help their business and they don't look at it through that same lens. And I think this is an opportunity to do that. And I think you can still support all these movements and what you support, but like you said, and still progress your life. I think a lot of people make that mistake. They make a lot of things emotional, where there's awareness. It's always awareness is easiest part of a movement, but it's acting upon it. So is the hardest. So it's, I think if you own a business, if you're in the contracting world, I think you just have to support what you support, but take that passion and turn it into something that can actually progress what you're trying to progress.
And the other thing, and this is kind of a weirder thing to think about, is contractors typically, the connotation, how people feel about contractors, it's like, next to used car salesman, contracting industry is like the number 2 most complained, like looked down on industry, because they look at you as very blue collar, very rednecky. So if you're trying to get out of that mindset, like look differently from people, like this is why at Virginia Tech, we had a handful of football players. One dude, actually, he played for the Giants. His name was David Wilson. He was a running back. Went first round. Good football, like really good football player, obviously. But he wore a suit to class every single day because he wanted to get rid of the stigma of what a football player looked like, how they acted, things like that. Which it's silly that this is the environment that he's in, that like he has to like go way over the top to look more formal, look more presentable, just to remove that negativity around what a quote unquote football player is supposed to be. But if you're a contractor and you show up to somebody's house and you have a lifted truck and you've got a Trump flag, like a lot of people are going to make a snap second judgment about you. And if your whole goal is to go in there and not have that same viewpoint on you, then you need to do something to overcome that. So you can't have your cake and eat it too, where as a tradesman, you're already looked at in a very specific way. Marketing people, we're looked at snaky, like very salesman-y, because that's what quote unquote marketers do, is we sell snake oil. So that means that I can't come to you, and when I answer the phone or when I try to sell you something, I have to sell in a different way, because if I come across sounding salesy, I mean, if a doctor sounded salesy, I'd be like, well, he's just a doctor. This is probably how he communicates. But if a marketer comes at you like this, you can be like, well, this guy's trying to sell me crap. So I have to be self-aware enough to know that I can't come at you in a normal way. I have to go on the other side and go way overboard of really non-salesy, which is actually, now that I think about it, how I sell. Well, I do a lot of takeaways where I'm like, oh, I want a website. I'm like, nah, I don't think you do. I don't think you need one. Like, it sounds like you're doing well right now. So maybe that's why it works, is because I think they're so used to marketing people like always trying to sell them stuff. And I'm trying to talk them out of buying whatever I have to buy, which reinforces that they're like, okay, I definitely want to buy from this dude. But if you're a contractor and you have this negative connotation of chucking the truck or low class, or you're going to leave the job or whatever, you need to go overboard on the other side to get back to square one. And that's the same thing with, to me, like that. I like the football player thing was, this guy's here. He's here to play football, but he's also here to get a good education and to be, quote unquote, I guess, respectable, if you want to call it that. But that's just kind of the environment that we live in. Is everybody has like preconceived stereotypes about them, regardless of race, gender, industry. Like you think, like if I say something, you're going to automatically think of like, oh, this is who I think that person is.
Yeah, which is a part of life. It stinks, but it is part of life. And when you use the football players dressing in athletic like clothes to everyday class, it resonates with me. It's a perfect example, because that's exactly true. So for David Wilson to go with a suit, he has the right. He can complain like, this is not every athlete dresses like this, and he made a point. But if you're an athlete that dresses in the Brotherhood T-shirt and the Virginia Tech football pants, you have no leg to stand on when it comes to why people treat me like this. So it goes back to what you said. If you complain about how other people are unfairly treating your business, but you're doing nothing to help your customer service, you're doing nothing to improve your sales game, you're just like a pushy salesman, then you really have no leg to stand on. And it goes back to these times right now. It's everything. A lot of people that get quote unquote canceled, it's because they're hypocritical. So it's just, you have to stand up for Lisa, and you have to truly believe it, not just be the grandstander and it's just face value for you.
Yeah, just be smart about it. I mean, if you really feel passionately about something, then go ahead and put it out there, but just be prepared that the other side may come back at you. The more polarizing it is, the more backlash you're going to get. So just be self-aware, and at the end of the day, like, you do you, but I would say just try to be the best version of yourself if you can.
Yeah. Represent yourself and represent your business. If you truly believe it, then no one can really argue with you because you truly believe it. You're not just faking it.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So we good to go on that one?
I'm good to go. Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so as always, guys, let us know. I don't know if this was like a good topic and this is helpful, or you guys are coming here trying to figure out like the silver bullet to Facebook ads, but hopefully this was a good one. So as always, if you want to learn more about us, go to contractorgrowthnetwork.com. But in the very least, just go ahead and leave us a review on the podcast. Really helps out big time. Let us know we're doing the right stuff or are we totally blowing it recently. Thanks, guys.